You're like always telling them stuff to do or not to do. And you got to pepper in as many good jobs as you can. Every opportunity you have. Oh, hey, good job, buddy. You did a good job. Even if it's just, hey, man, you put on your pajama pants. That was super fast, man. Good job. Just any little thing that you can tell people good jobs. We all need it, man. The world's tough enough. And people have so much self-doubt and feel so much imposter syndrome. Even the most experienced people feel it, and especially your kids feel it. And you're their people, man. You're the people.
Welcome everyone to the Real Dad Life podcast. I'm joined by a special guest today, Blake Williams. He is LinkedIn's funniest recruiter, also on Instagram and TikTok. Blake, I think that your stuff is the funniest out there, whether people agree or not, but it's not just about being a recruiter. You're here because you're a dad times 3. You're a husband of 9 years today as of the recording. So congratulations, 12-year recruiting pro. You are currently the founder and chief technical recruiter at Hyperdrive Recruiting. And the list goes on. You're a podcast host of the Imperial Security Bureau and a content creator. My man, welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here. Yeah, it's exciting. It's only my second time being somebody else's podcast. So this is awesome, man. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Well, maybe this will be the catalyst to get you on some more. I love your videos. I love seeing you out there. That's how you and I got introduced, was just being in the recruiting world. And all of a sudden I started seeing some of your videos out there and I was like, dude, this dude is hilarious. Like, it's funny for, I think, just regular people, but when you're a recruiter, I know that's not just the main videos you do, but the recruiter ones, dude, they absolutely make me like die laughing, dude.
I need to bring those back. I hear. Appreciate the encouragement, man. There probably are a lot of people that kind of like those. Maybe I could just repost them. People talk about reposting content. Maybe just bring them back once a year, man. Just keep the same ones rolling. I have a terrible memory. And so anytime there's like a family event or something we go to, something we're doing with the kids, and it's, wow, look, check this out. This is a life highlight reel right here. I should be filming this, and just get out and make sure to record it, turn it into a little reel. I get a lot of joy from doing that stuff. And then going back 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years later and watching some of that stuff. It's like, oh my God, I wish I had this stuff from when I was a kid. I feel like my kids are going to really appreciate all these videos that I'm saving.
What do they think about like you filming right now? Like I was going through your Instagram before we hopped on this, and I was dying laughing when you went to a NASCAR event. That was a hilarious scene. You driving the car.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we lasted 20 minutes at that NASCAR race because it was so loud. Even though we borrowed the neighbor's the ear protection, and still was just too much. Once the snacks run out, it's game over. But yeah, no, they're good sports. A lot of times you don't have to tell them to do anything, and you have to cut out all the dumb parts, right? You're only keeping the little segments, right? Or, hey, say this, or you have to cut all that stuff out. But yeah, they're good sports. And sometimes I have to tempt them with chocolates or make deals for screen time and stuff like that. But yeah, they're normally pretty good at it, just unscripted.
Yeah, my kids, I've gotten them into it as I started posting content on LinkedIn, and I really got into learning how to edit and just create the different effects and stuff. The thing that I'm into now is on people's birthdays or events or stuff. I'll film things with the kids and we'll do little skits and everything. And they love that stuff. Or if we go to the park, we'll film and add the music to it and the transitions, and they love it. They have really good times. Like they'll ask me to make videos, and they're like, all right, can you edit that? Can we do it right now? And I was like, yeah, like it takes some time, kids. Like I gotta get it good, and it will be ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Once I get the final cut, then you'll see it. Everyone gets a kick out of it.
Yeah, my wife loves them. My parents love them when I share it. That's probably the biggest fans of it right there. My kids they're 6 and 4. They don't care so much about the editing part, but they do love now to film. They're like, Dad, can I film? And so they love to run around, and it's funny what they
Nice.
film. They go off on tangents, man. They're like, wait, we're trying to film your brother ride a bike here. What were you doing staring at this bush for, 45 seconds? What were you doing? So yeah, that's pretty fun. But yeah, man, making videos with your kids, highly suggest doing that. That's a life hack right there.
Gets them involved. They like it. We talk about tech and all the negative effects on it, but they're gonna have a phone someday. They're gonna have YouTube. They're gonna have social media. So I think it's if we can get them exposed to it in a way that like it's not taking over our life and we use it in a healthy way and we model that. And I think that's a good thing. And it's like a shared interest because they all love screens, right? So I like to think that we're using our brains a little bit when we're making these little videos and showing them how to edit and things like that, or what makes a good shot. I like that. I like that too.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't think we should really keep it from them or make rules where no, you can't, you know, and you do want to limit the screen time, but as far as limiting social media and stuff like that, my kids are too young for it. But I feel like if you're too strict about no social media, you can't get on certain apps. It's like the moment they get any freedom, they're probably going to go like into it way too much and rebel in the same way that the age to drink alcohol is much lower in other countries in Europe. The kids over there, they don't go crazy and become binge drinkers whenever they're in college as much as Americans do because the laws aren't quite as strict. So if you put these, strict rules around it, then the moment kids get any freedom, they're going to use it for things that you do not want them to use it for. I'm very afraid about my daughter getting an Instagram account and what type of content she may decide to put out there one day. Because I was scrolling through TikTok and there's some kind of podcast where they're asking these OnlyFans girls how much money that they're making right now in their OnlyFans. And dude, the numbers they're putting out are insane. 150K a month, 300K a month, 350K a month. And I'm scared to death as a father that it'll grab hold of my kids, my daughter especially, because I can already tell you she's going to be a very pretty girl. I don't want her to ever have Instagram. I'm going to get her a dumb phone. But then I'm thinking, if I take that approach, the moment she gets any freedom and buys her own phone, she'll just want to rebel against me. And the pendulum will swing in the opposite direction. So how do you find this balance? And maybe you can teach them about the right type of content to make now, the lighthearted, family, funny stuff or educational stuff. Get them hooked on making stuff like that so that they're not just wanting to take pictures of themselves in bikinis one day. Like that.
Yeah.
It's one of my biggest fears, man.
I've got a daughter too. So I know that is something that I think every girl dad has in the back of their head. One of my last episodes that I dropped, it was about how to have the conversation about technology, social media. It was with Kathy Van Dyson, and she has a company called Conversation. So what she has found is it is way more impactful with our kids just to not to limit them and not to say no to technology. Yes, we'll have our rules in our house, but just actually having the conversation with the kids about it. So it empowers them to make their own decisions. So they actually understand, okay, here are the pros and cons. Just going to lay it out to you black and white. It is a fact that there are thousands of engineers on the other side of all these apps that are focused on keeping your attention. So it is meant to be addictive. And then here are all these other things out there, right? That like you were talking about that are like potential pools. So it's just natural for kids to rebel. But my son's about to be 8. So like he's pushing the boundaries big time right now. My daughter just turned 5. So they're constantly testing their environment. I think as our kids get older, they're just going to keep doing that. And yeah, we can be scared of the worst case scenario, but I think if we as dads model the behavior we want, we treat our daughters with respect and love. So they're going to seek a man that is shows the values of their father, because we treated them with respect and love. And same with our sons, like they're going to see what it's like to be a man. So that's what I see as our greatest responsibility, is that we're always going to be scared, but we got to trust that if we just show them the example that we want, and we're not too restrictive, and we give them freedoms, but we're the guide rails on the highway, and let them make mistakes, but don't let them stray too far. Don't be afraid to lay down the hammer when you got to.
Yep. Yep. You got to pray, man. You need Jesus. But yeah, man, the screen time is insane though, because the devices are like crack, dude. And whatever you do, not buy one of those Google Home or Amazon home screens that people put in their living room or their kitchen. We have one in our kitchen, and we had to retire it into the attic. We're never bringing that thing back out because it is like crack. It was impossible to get our kids away from it. If they were in the kitchen, they were trying to talk to Google and touching the screen, and they would just sit there and stare at it and say, "Hey guys, let's go outside and play. You want to go do this? You want to go do that?" No, they just wanted to sit there and stare at that thing. So we had to get rid of it. It's crazy. Yeah. As parents, we have the same problem. We like to scroll it too. Kids go to bed now. My wife and I sometimes we'll do something together, watch a show, but if there's not a good show that we want to watch or have some friends over or whatever, she'll typically go into the bedroom. She's scrolling TikTok, and I either come in here in my office, I got some work to do, or maybe I'm the one scrolling on the couch in the living room, whatever app I'm looking at. I'm a YouTube junkie. I'm constantly adding videos to my watch later list, and then at night casting to the TV. Instead of watching any TV shows, I'm just watching whatever came across my feed on YouTube. So yeah, we're all addicted to it.
You just got to admit it. I know I'm addicted too. I have the talk with my kids all the time, but I use them as my accountability buddy. So I say, my daughter doesn't quite get it yet at 5. With Luca, since he's about to be 8, I said, "Hey, look, man, did this last year." I said, "My phone is not as important as you. Like, you are more important than anything that's on my phone. So if you see me on my phone around you, you have my permission to say, 'Dad, what's more important, me or your phone?'" And he's had to say that, like, the first time I said it, he had to tell me like 3 times within a couple weeks, and then it got further and further in between. You are more important. And only one of those times, I think, was it a situation where it was something that, like, I literally had to get done, like, right then and there. Other times was like, oh man, I'm just like finding myself to be busy, like checking email one more time or checking notifications. And I'm really cognizant now. I'm just having my phone around when they walk in the room. Do I have my phone on or not? So they walk in, I try and put it down so they see that I'm not just like staring at it when I'm talking to them. Because when they watch TV, they're just zombies. We try and limit that as much as possible. But I want to take the conversation a different direction. We can talk about tech for a long time, but with this being the Real Dad Life podcast, and your dad times 3, and we share in common being in the recruiting industry about the same amount of years, like over a decade. That's like dog years. I think that LinkedIn's full of mostly B2B salespeople posting all the time. And so people see tech sales constantly. I am going to die on the hill that I've never done tech sales, but I'm going to say recruiting is a harder job than tech sales because of the people element in it. Yes, it's a really long sales process with B2B tech sales. You got to make 100 dials. It is incredibly difficult. But at the end of the day, once you sign that contract and you get your software to the company, they're locked in, right? Maybe you got issues, but then they got someone else's department handles issues. But with recruiting, you always have a candidate who is just a human being. Then you have your client who is a human being. So you got to deal with, is the manager is a candidate having a bad day? Are their kids sick? Do they have to miss work multiple times because their kids had some crazy disease going around their daycare and they just started their job 2 weeks ago? So then they get let go because they're deemed unreliable, or they don't want to do a commute anymore, or they get offered a job for $1,000 more, $50,000 more, or they tell you one thing and do the list could go on and on, but I think it is one of the most challenging jobs out there. So with that comes a ton of stress. That every job is stressful, but I think recruiting has just a unique pressure that comes with it. So what was it like being a recruiter before kids and then after kids? Because I have the same experience. My career split. Pretty wild. I want your perspective.
Yeah, I don't remember life before kids.
Same.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was like, man. But yeah, I don't think I was as stressed out. I had a little more time to work after hours, I think. Dinner time wasn't so stressful, and I didn't have to beg kids to brush their teeth and go to bed and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a stressful job, man. Sometimes I've heard my parents even say comments like, "Man, I don't know why you chose such a hard job. Like, why? I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you make a living doing that." Because we sell the only thing in the world that can change their mind, and our product can lie to us. And I'm not saying people are products, but I'm just saying facilitating this process of recruiting and hiring. And people can change their minds. People can have a bad day and be grumpy. There's a ton of recruiters out there. So the competition is high. There's a very low barrier to entry in this business. So anybody can just decide to become a recruiter. And yeah, it's a tough way to make a living. Really, though, if you're good at what you do, if you try to do right by people, I feel like you can carve out a nice living for yourself. Just supporting like a handful of customers is really all you need. Like a handful of customers that really appreciate you and value you, and they're actually a good company to work for. You only need a few of those, and you can make a good living. Right now, I'm pretty stressed because trying to start my own agency, and there's so many little things that you have to do that have nothing to do with recruiting. Trying to figure out what am I going to do for a payroll and getting signed up with a payroll vendor called Boss. Just getting paperwork in place and business bank account, EIN numbers, and email DNS records and website hosting and job board integrations. And there's so many things that pop up that aren't just like, all right, today I need to recruit on this job, or today I need to market this candidate. Like the two core things that I need to be doing for 8 hours a day is like, there's so many things that steal your attention away from that. How do you not be stressed by it? I do exercise in the middle of the day. So
that's a good one.
I exercise in the middle of the day, which is a good break between the morning tasks you need to get done, and then you've got this separation of the day, right? You got your morning, and the afternoon after your workout can become like a totally separate day. So I highly recommend doing that. Limit your coffee, try to go to bed early, try to eat right. I don't know any other hacks, man. It's all in your mind. The stress will be there if you let it be there. Speak positively to yourself and just try not to stress out over it, man. It helped me a lot, like the stress over it all. Cause I have an issue my whole life. I've been a hypochondriac where I always think that something's wrong with me. Oh, what is that, man? I might have a brain tumor. Oh, my chest. Oh man, I might be having a heart attack. And every time I go to the doctor, I'll be like, I think something's really wrong. And they're like, okay, we'll do this test, blood work. And it comes down to, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. You just need to stop stressing out so much. But whenever you're a hypochondriac, you always think you're going to die. And so I went through this period of time where I'm a YouTube junkie, and I watched about 100 near-death experience videos. And I would highly recommend diving into them.
Wow.
It'll change your perspective a lot, because that's what these people are doing. They're talking about their experience of what happened when they died and came back. And it's crazy to hear how common their stories are after you hear enough of them, and these are completely unrelated people, different ages, different parts of the world. Their near-death experience happened at random years, and it's like, how do they all say the same things if it's not really what happens to you when you die? And the things they experience, the people that they meet when they come back, they all have the same message. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be stressed out about. Like,
That's cool.
so I would highly recommend watching them. It helps. It helped me. It helped me a lot. So yeah, do it.
All right. I'll take you up on that. I like watching random YouTube videos. So I know myself. So I have to seriously limit myself on that stuff. I totally hear you. Like stress, it's in our mind. I reflect back now in my early days. There was no cares in the world, right? Before kids, I don't really remember what it was like before kids, other than just working all the time, working 11, 12-hour days. And that was completely normal. And working first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and not even taking a lunch break. And before it's 5 o'clock, and, oh man, I better go grab some lunch and come back to the office and keep working because there was no remote work back then. And just like wanting to see that commission check go higher and higher and higher. And it's the work hard, play hard. And you're from the agency world. You know that too. I know where you work,
Yeah.
and I know the environment. It's just, it's fun when you're young. But then I think I started seriously questioning that when I had kids. I was like, am I the old guy now? Because I'm not about this lifestyle anymore. I don't want to work 12 hours a day and get home just to be able to tuck my kids in at night, just to live for the weekend. And still on the weekends thinking about that, what was pending from Friday, because I got interviews on Monday, or I got deals that I put offers out on Friday and I'm waiting for them to come back Monday. And are they going to reach out to me on a Saturday? And, oh, I just got a voicemail. The candidate declined. And now they're not taking my call. And I stepped away from the kids to do it. I got really resentful because of all that. And I had to seriously question for what and why. Why am I doing this? And it took me many years to realize that the stress was all just internal, and it's not. They used to point the finger at, oh, it's this place, right? Or it's the culture, or this person. Now that is true for a lot of people that I'm sure you've worked with too, that are just not the kind of people that are positive influences, for you. You're like, I just want to run a million miles away. But staffing attracts all different types of breeds. It's always fascinating to talk to other recruiters and all the different types of people. But yeah, once I realized that it was all in my head, so I'm like, okay, if a candidate sends me an email and backs out of a job, whether they're supposed to start on Monday and they emailed us on Friday, if I was out of the office Friday, I didn't see that message. Am I stressed? No, I'm not. It's only when I see that message that then I have all these thoughts going on in my head, and this happened and this, I should have done this better or that, and screw that person. I can't believe they did that. And it's, who cares? Like, you're always going to find someone else. It's just, realize we accepted that part of the job when we said, I'm going to be a recruiter, is we accepted that it's the human element in it to make it so challenging that the human can always turn around and say no. Like you had said, the product, and yeah, I'm not saying they're products too, but in a way, that's what it is when you're an agency recruiter, that the candidate is the product in a way. I know that you are like my style too, where I can tell that you're not a transactional recruiter. You're not just trying to make a placement just to make $1. Yeah, we're making money when we make placements, but I actually care about the candidates. I don't want to put people in a bad situation, right? Like I talked to someone just the other day, and they were trying to say, oh, I'll do this job, no problem. The commute was like an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm like, you don't want to do that. Trust me. They were out of work, so they were desperate. But I said, look, I'm telling you, in less than a month, you're going to hate it and you're going to be looking for a new job. But I'm always trying to look out for the candidate. And that's tough sometimes when it could maybe be a deal, and we walk away because we know it's not in their best interest.
I hate trying to take that approach, and I hate when a candidate tells me they're feeling pressured to accept a role by another agency or something like that. I find myself saying all the time to candidates, where I'll just be honest with them about if they should not move forward with an opportunity. And I would tell them, like, hey, look, if you were my brother or if you were my neighbor, I probably would not recommend that you go for this. And here's why. Just be honest with them. But oftentimes, though, I'll be using the same line to convince them that this is a good opportunity. It just depends, really, on their situation and the uniqueness of what they have going on. I hate the transactional approach, and also hate the clients out there, these big brand name companies, enterprise accounts that they pretty much make it so the account has to be this no hiring manager interaction, VMS submission scenario where it forces you to be this transactional person. I run away. I run as far away from those situations as I possibly can. I don't want anything to do with it. If I can't actually have a conversation with a hiring manager and coordinate the interviews myself and actually do my job well and make sure, facilitate the process, make sure nothing's going to happen that would be a bad experience for either party. If I have to go through a VMS system, I don't even want the business. I don't want it.
It's not worth it, especially when you're starting your own agency. That's the worst thing as a recruiter, to talk to a candidate and say, Blake, I'll be honest, I don't really know anything about the hiring team. I don't know anything about the manager.
Yeah, I don't
This
know
is
anything.
totally blind, and I'll be totally transparent. You're going to go up against 40 resumes. And by the way, they're all submitted yesterday. So you're going to be number 41. So good luck. I hope I can get you an interview. Horrible candidate experience.
Exactly.
So with kids, it's when we come home from work, I'm glad that I went through my life transition when my kids were infants. So I also figured my stuff out, and they're smart, they're cognizant now. So I like to think that I'm pretty good about being able to turn it off at night. Not perfect. There's definitely some nights where I'm at the dinner table and I'm not there, because I think it's impossible to do that 100% of the time, to turn it off. But how about you? We always got so much on our plate, and you starting a new agency, man. How are you with turning it off?
It's hard. And God bless mothers, especially my wife. She's been a stay-at-home mom now for a year. So she has the patience of a saint. And there's nothing that she loves more than her kids. She does such a good job. I don't tell her enough. I could not do what she does. Like, I could not run daddy daycare all day, every day. My head would explode. I come in after I'm done working. This is part of my garage, by the way. I'll walk through this door, go through my garage, and then through into the kitchen. And normally it's just like all my kids flock to me, want to hug me, and daddy this, daddy that. And it's fun. I love that. I love it. And I'll come in, we'll give hugs and, hey, how was your day? But it's like within 4 or 5 minutes of them just constantly, can you pick me up? Can you do this? Can you get me some milk? Can you do? And within 4 or 5 minutes, I'm ready to hit the escape button. I'm like, man, y'all got to calm down. Please, can I have 5 minutes? I just want to get a drink of water. Can daddy get a drink of water? Can y'all calm down for a second and go sit down? And yeah, it's a lot, man. But yeah, I don't know. I've got some dad advice, but I also don't want to claim to know much of anything, man, because me and my brother, we have this saying that we joke about as dads and as married men. We basically have two modes that we're in, right? We're either in trouble or we're just getting out of trouble. Those are the only two options, right? I don't really have time to think about these strategies for being the best parent. Whenever you're having to move tricycles and bikes and scooters out of the way of the front door just to get in your house, that creates one little layer of frustration, right? Then just walking around your house, turning off lights and ceiling fans in rooms that no one's in. That's another thing that'll just be like, oh God. And just throwing away empty candy wrappers that you find shoved into the couch cushions, or just trying to keep your kids from, you walk into the house and here's one trying to crawl up the shelves in the pantry to reach the Pop-Tarts. Just trying to beg your kids just to eat their green beans and not pretend they have to go to the bathroom to spit them out into the toilet. Just trying to monitor them so that they're not like taking their pieces of chicken that they don't want to eat, and while you're not looking, throw it under the table so it looks like their brother on the other side of the table dropped it. And it's just, there's just so many things that can frustrate you if you let it. Parenting is hard enough without you constantly thinking that you're doing a bad job. The fact that you even care about the job that you're trying to do means that you're a good parent, because you care enough to even have that thought. There's a thing that really helped me whenever I'm feeling that frustration, and it's called the deathbed time machine exercise. You ever heard of the deathbed time machine?
No, but I want to know more.
When you're really boiling over and about to have a bad reaction, close your eyes. Imagine that you're 88, 90 years old on your deathbed, and you're granted one opportunity to go back in time for 15 minutes to relive this moment that you're in. How would that change your behavior if this was your last 15 minutes that you had? And it's helped me quite a bit. Now, I don't always think of doing that, but it has helped me several times. Just not stressing out and turn that energy, that frustrated energy, into just being silly with your kids. Tickle time, wrestling on the floor, telling them they've got boogers in their butt, calling them rascal heads, saying they got cooties, playing jokes on mommy. Just like rechannel that energy into just a reason to be silly, or turn it into a joke. Another thing that we do, and I got this from my parents, I don't know if you use the countdown method or the counting method. Whenever they're not listening,
Yeah.
you start counting.
Yep. We said 3, 2, 1.
1, 2, 3. And if you get to 5, when you get one-on-one time with your kids, like oftentimes they're all in a group, so you never get this one-on-one time where it's just one, and it's just you and one child. Always try to take advantage of that. And just, I love you, buddy. Hey, I just want to tell you I love you, and I'm so proud of you. And give me a hug. Please give me a hug. Give me a big squeezer, and see how much of a bear hug that they can give you. I do that as often as I can. I always tell whoever's with me that they're my favorite. So just stuff like that, I think, is some good tactics to use. Yeah. Otherwise, just don't stress out about it. Just keep showing up. Try to have patience. Try not to be too preoccupied with work, and try to put your phone down, and don't forget to smile. I don't know. I don't know what else you can do, man. Being a dad's and trying to be successful is hard to do.
It's the hardest job in the world. Dude, we talked for 15 minutes before I hit record. I don't think I had any dad advice to give out to anyone. You just dropped some gold, dude, for the last few minutes. That's the highlight of the podcast. I might bump it to the beginning so people get a taste of right there, because that's real, right? I've talked to people who are doctors, who are psychologists, who are parenting coach, all that stuff. But you're just a legitimate, just like me, you're just an average dad, dude. You put your pants on one leg at a time, you pull them up, and you're just trying to do your best. And I can tell you really care. The things I really love that you said was like, look, every single dad thinks they're doing a bad job sometimes. And the fact that you're thinking that does mean you care. Because if you didn't, then if you don't care at all, you're gonna think you're just like the best parent in the world. And your kids should be lucky that you are their dad, right? And they should fall in line like these obedient dogs. And that's not the case. Kids are meant to wrestle each other, to get loud, to get crazy. The best moments at home for me is when I can sit in the eye of the tornado and just watch them go absolutely buck wild, screaming at the top of their lungs, throwing things around, chasing each other. There's many other times where it's just too much because you've already had a lot of stress that piles up, and then you hit your limit And it's not the kids, it's a me problem, right? So it's never the kid. Like they're just having fun. So when I am telling my wife, I'm like, it's like when I'm so zen and I'm just like sitting there and I'm like, this is awesome. This is what life's all about. Like to the kids, they are having the most fun of their life. So it's not that they're not doing anything wrong. So it's as parents, like, why are we getting frustrated? Why are we getting ticked off? Why are we yelling at our kids just because they're loud or throwing things around? That's a me problem. And that's okay because that's just natural. I'm not trying to shame any parent for yelling at their kids or getting frustrated because I do it. Like you said, you get frustrated. Every single dad gets frustrated. But it's, I think, just what I've gotten so much better at as they've gotten older is when I get frustrated and I say things I don't want me to say or do things I don't want to do, I just own up to it and I apologize and I tell them, look, I'm sorry. Okay. And then I love you. Here's what it was. This was me, not you. I didn't do anything wrong. But it is so underestimated just as a dad. Like, I think our role is to just be silly. Like, the other day, my kids they were going off the rails a little bit and I started talking about poop and farts and they thought it was they thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious and I made up a story about it. It's about a prince who lives in the castle and every time he leaves the castle he has to poop. So I'll be like, and the prince leaves the castle and he says, I have to poop. And the kids just like, they're like rolling, dude. Like
Yeah.
they think it's hilarious. So that's all you got to do. And that's literally the first word that my son could spell and read was poop. 'Cause it's funny. It's funny. He didn't want to read. He got frustrated. So, dude, trust me, you're going to want to read this one. Let's sound it out together. And now we always remember that his first word was poop. So
We're going through
we
that
always
age
got
too.
that. Yeah.
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 We're my boys especially, they love talking about that stuff. And my daughter coined the phrase, you got boogers in your butt. And that one has stuck with us for a long time. So you can pull that one out at any time. And if you say that with a smile to anybody, they're going to laugh. It's impossible not to laugh. But yeah, unless there's a bunch of whining and crying and fighting going on that you really need to step in. But if they're playing, having fun, and everybody's loud, I will not interrupt that. It's only whenever someone's being disturbing the peace, right? And that's normally my daughter who wants to come in and interrogate my boys who are just sitting there playing nicely. My daughter will come in, she wants to stir it up. And so that's a challenge in itself, just trying to have patience for that. But the house is loud, man. Kids are loud. And my wife and I, even my parents say stuff like, I don't know how you guys deal with this. Like, this is insane because my kids just never shut up. Like they, unless the TV's on, right? TV's on or they're on screens. That's the only time that the house will be quiet. And when the house is quiet, I don't like disturbing that. I don't ask questions when the house is quiet. You got to enjoy that for as long as it lasts. But
Tiptoe, man. I agree.
yeah,
Tiptoe around.
it's hard for my wife and I to even have conversations anymore around them because the volume is so high, and the moment you try to talk, or I'm trying to hear my wife talk to me, especially if we're not in the same room and we're trying to be like, hey, what was that thing we have? What time do we have to be there on Saturday? And just, it's almost like, I never mind. I can't hear you. I'll talk to you later. We almost communicate through telepathy now. We've got telepathic facial expression communication that we use around the kids because you can't get a word in, man. The more you try to talk, the louder they get. And I think every parent kind of deals with that. It's like a running joke on some of the parenting TikToks that, that they do that. I don't know. I'm not a jibber jabber. I'm on a podcast now, and we're having this conversation, but I normally sit in quiet. My wife's the same way. We're not big talkers, so we have no idea where our kids got all that yapping energy from. But I think it's pretty common. So you just have to live with it, man. It's just part of going through this stage in life. Just expect it and be at peace with it.
Just it's kids being kids. I actually saw something online where they did I don't remember the study that it was like focusing on or who did it. It may not be 1,000% legitimate, who knows, but it was talking about when our kids are loud in the house, not being disruptive, right? But when they're just like having fun, they're getting loud and getting crazy, it like they feel safe because they can do that. But it's probably because you and your wife are just giving them the space. So it's not, because I do know some people that no matter what, even when their kids are just having fun and carrying on, they're like telling them to stop it. No, don't do that. Be quiet. And I'm like, they're just kids, man. Like they're just having fun. They're not screwing anything up. They're not being mean. They're not being nasty. They're just being kids. So just let it go. Let them be kids.
Yeah, I hate seeing that. And I'm not perfect by any means. And all of my bad reactions and my bad habits, they always come back to haunt me in my kids' behavior, right? Especially if they're not listening, I can trace that back to the time when they were coming up to me while, I was on the couch looking at my phone and they were like, "Daddy," and here I am preoccupied reading an email or something like that. And I'm not listening to them. So I can't get mad at them for not listening to me when I do the same thing. And then there's some reactions that they've learned from me. And this again is on the phone. If I get a phone call and maybe this is a client or a candidate, maybe it's an important conversation about an offer or whatnot, but the kids, they need you right that second for something that probably doesn't matter, but it's important to them. And whenever you say, "Hey baby, I'm on the phone," they disregard that, right? And you can try to escape, go somewhere else, then they follow you. You say it again, "I'm on the phone." They don't listen. They keep talking. So you get the scrunchy face scolding. It's, "I'm on the phone." I see my kids do that to me.
Yeah.
Whenever I try to tell them to do something, I get that scrunchy face scold back. So they're not doing anything that you have not showed them how to do. So just be careful with how you react because it's going to come back to haunt you.
Kids are a mirror. They show us all of our good qualities and they show us the things that we need to work on. I noticed my son started doing the scrunchy face back to me, like talking through gritted teeth a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, that's me. When I get really frustrated, I'll get close rather than screaming really loud. Like I'll usually I was like, oh no. I was like, I gotta stop that. I gotta stop it right now. I can't have this going on. But then you also have the sweet things, right? Where they're like, I love you, like you're the best dad in the world. They're kind to someone. You gotta own up, be like, yeah, they got that from me. But then when they do other things or you don't like, you're also like, crap, they got that from me.
Yeah.
Is what it is. More is caught than taught with everything with the kids. So at that time, like super cognizant of all that. Like the biggest thing I'm working on right now is now that I'm back to recruiting basically full time, that's on top of everything else I got going on. And you understand this busy. So I'm trying to make sure that I am setting like a really good example of what it means to work hard, but not become like a workaholic and show them that work is more important. So yes, I have those boundaries where it's summertime. So if I'm home, they want to play with me right then and there. Sometimes I will go play with them in the middle of the day, but other times I nope, like I'm at work right now. I have to do this until this time. And I'll set parameters at this time to this time, like daddy's free. But the thing I need to continue to work on is when you're in the office, it's 5 more minutes turns into an hour and a half. At home, you can't do that. So I've always had this habit of just keeping busy. There's always something else to do. And at home, I try my best. I don't believe in just clocking out at a certain time. I believe in clocking out when the job is done for the day. But I use 5 o'clock as my general. Okay, Angelo, kind of should think about priorities. Am I good for the day? Should I start wrapping up now and take 15 minutes to plan my next day and just evaluate what I did today? Or do I need to say, I need to buckle down and just set a new timer? Okay, hey, tonight's going to be 6 o'clock. That's when I'm shutting it down. So it's all over the place. And some days are earlier, some days are later, but trying to make sure my kids understand that I'm not just ignoring them because I care more about work. So it's that balance, like I said, of what hard work means versus family priorities. And I don't believe in work-life balance. That's a total myth, and that's a whole nother topic. But I, we could dive into that. Like we're getting close to the end, but what really triggered me to reach out to you to have you on was not only were you recommended by a mutual acquaintance of ours, a friend, but you on your podcast, you were talking to somebody. I forget the episode, but you were talking about like the grind and hustle and just working at like an extreme pace and just how it's not sustainable and how you're seeking now more of that medium pace. It
Yeah.
is sustainable, so you can provide for your family, you can be enough. You're still producing at work, but you're still cognizant of like being a father and leading the family and being available for them. So talk to me more about that. What's the pace that you're after now?
Yeah, it's a kind of a mindset or an approach really just so that my own self-worth is not tied to my production because I was addicted to the production, and if my billing was low, then my self-worth and confidence was low, right? If it was high, then confidence was high. So I've disconnected from that, I feel like. So now I'm even no matter what's going on, good or bad. I still work a lot. The medium pace to me, it's not really based on the number of hours. It's just based on like a mindset and a pace. Cause I am still very addicted to the productivity, but I'm not doing anything that I don't really enjoy doing. So is it work or is this, is this what I really want to do? Even if given all the choices in the world right now, this is what I want to do. So is it work? I don't know. That yeah, but I still haven't figured that out. That's a lifelong journey type thing is figuring out what your pace is going to be. And I'm phasey too, where I can tell my wife, hey, I'm going to start cooking dinner for you guys. I'm going to participate more every Tuesday and Thursday. Just count on me. I'm going to cook. She knows that's not going to last. You know what I mean? Anytime I've got something I'm going to propose that I'm going to do. So I've stopped even saying when I have an idea that, all right, I'm going to start doing X or Y to make things better. I feel like the first step in ensuring that's not going to happen is start telling people because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So the best thing to do is never say a word to anybody about the things you're doing and just do it, or maybe just put it on one little sticky note, but never advertise to anyone that, hey, yeah, just give them an opportunity to observe and maybe mention the fact that you change your behavior. Just don't announce it. But there's another school of thought that's if you tell somebody, they're going to hold you accountable. But I'm just talking about it in terms of the things I tell my wife I'm going to do and the phases I go through. She's already just decided, yeah, okay, all right, this is a phase. So I just quit.
I
Do
get
you
it.
run into that? Do you have phases where you're like, all right, I'm going to try this for a while? And I don't know. I think
If
every guy
somebody,
probably
yeah,
does that.
yeah, if somebody can't relate, that's why I talk a lot about consistency. Because even though my post the other day was about to flip the script on when people say, "Oh, I'm just not consistent," "Oh, I'm like really phasey, so I can't be consistent." Like, every single one of us, like we are consistent. It's just we're not consistent in all of the right things. So we may consistently bail out of thing, right? Because we're working too much or this came up. But I think that's a constant challenge, man, between like husband and wife, where like we want to say what we're gonna do, thinking, oh, my wife will trust me just because I'm saying this. My wife knows me too, where I'm very phasey with things that I get into. Or for example, I'll say, oh yeah, I'm gonna start making stir fry on the Blackstone every single day. That's my lunch meal. I love it. why didn't you get me the stuff for stir fry? You didn't ask for it. She'll say, I'm into stir fry. And it's 2 weeks. And then she'll get it. And then I don't use it. I'm going to promise I'm going to make dinner on the same thing. I've tried that before too, or I'm going to make dinner like this night. I never stuck through. She'll be like, are you cooking tonight or what? And I'm like, oh crap. And then it's a really late dinner. So I get that. I like more of the accountability, having the accountability by telling people. So I'm on that side of the fence. But there also comes a point in time where it's just actions speak louder than words. And that's particularly important when it comes to our wives. Of like, they're never going to trust us just by us saying we're going to do something. Like, we got to actually do it. So it took the longest time to get my wife to understand and really trust me that, hey, she leaves the house, if she wants to go do yoga for the night, or she wants to go away, which is rare, whatever, fill in the blank for a reason she would miss dinner and the nighttime routine. She had to learn to trust that I'm actually going to get it done. 'Cause there's no way you're going to get it. There's no way. I'm like, I can do it. It may not be perfect, but I will get it done. It's okay. My kids are in bed. Maybe there's a little bit of a mess. So it takes time, like putting into action. So I feel you there. But I want to dive back into that medium pace thing with the mindset. What you're saying is really falling in line with. I was on a podcast the other day. It was more of like a newsletter, but it was all about work life balance, and how I was saying like it's a myth, and it's really that mindset of getting into work life alignment where it's just seasons of life and seasons of life doesn't have to be years or months, quarters, like literally sometimes like the day you're in or the week you're in where it's okay. Today's just going to be a longer day, and that's okay because like I'm working towards providing more freedom for myself and more family time. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to get X amount of hours of family time every day. There's no hard, fast rules. It's just I'm constantly working towards that. I know I am. So I just know that it's just I have a job to do, and I do what I say I'm gonna do. And I've gotten better at reducing the busyness of the things where I know that I really can wait until tomorrow. I'm trying to simplify things as much as possible and not go the extra mile in things that have very little ROI, or I know it could be a waste of time. So I'm like, I pick and choose where those things where I know I'm going to go extra on. Kudos to you, man, for going all in. I can only imagine all the different moving parts that you just said weren't on my radar, where I've thought about that many times in the past. I'm like, just need a phone and an email, done. But there is, if you want to do it right, like you're doing, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, and like you said about trying to figure out the right task to do, right? Using the 80-20 rule where maybe 20% of your task would give you 80% of your results, while trying to figure out what are those 20% is very hard, especially in a market like this, whenever I think it's shifted, right? The things that we used to do that would get us all of our results, they don't seem to be working anymore. So we're in this experimentation phase, especially with content, right? Everybody's trying to put out content, and maybe that's going to benefit me in the long term, this long-term game of this content strategy. And I feel like I'm always like on the verge of just quitting it altogether. The more that I'm into the content game, the more that I realize I have no idea what I'm doing or what's going to work. And it's just, man, I just wake up every day. I'm just like, do I have something to offer to the internet today for content? I don't today. All right, it's fine. I just don't have anything today. And it's no big deal. If I'm feeling motivated, if I've got something that could inspire the internet, a video, a clip or something like that, okay, yeah, I'll put this up today. But I don't want to commit to doing anything every day. I want to do it because I enjoy it and I want to work on it when it's convenient, but I don't want to sit here and like have it add to my stress level. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to help me.
Yeah. No,
So,
I feel you on that. I even have, oh my gosh, I probably have 10 videos that are already made, edited, captions, everything. And I could just sit back for 2 weeks and just post them. I don't really feel like posting that today. I post pretty much every day. Just become a habit that I find something to put up. But I was getting stressed about it for a while, where I was like, I just want to quit. But every time I think about quitting, I get a text or a call or a DM or a comment or someone who, like, I got it yesterday. Someone from totally other countries. Hey man, like, you got a friend and a fan over here in Chile. I was like, dude, that's awesome. He's like, you're so inspiring. I was like, okay, all right, I gotta keep going for one more day. One more day. I'll keep it going. But it's hard because it's like our production as a recruiter. It's you just want to hear good job every now and then. Like when you're a producer, you don't need it because you're intrinsically motivated. You just want to make that money and you just want to do right by your family. But everyone loves a good job. So like when you get that just totally out of the blue, good job. It feels so freaking good. Like when a
does.
candidate just every 6 months will be like, hey, you're like one of the best recruiters that I've ever had. You're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like you're like
Yeah,
crying. You're like, thank you.
yeah.
This
It's
will just
just like
makes
golf
yeah,
shots, man. It's just like
yeah,
golf.
yeah.
So I don't know if you're very good at golf, but I'm not.
Terrible golfer.
I
Terrible
hate,
golfer.
yeah. Every once in a while, though, you'll hit a great shot. And what does that do? It
Yeah.
carries you through the rest of the round. You know what I mean? And it keeps you coming back. And it's just like the positive feedback that you said. Everybody needs to hear a good job. Even I do, but it could take just one. And then I have the inspiration to keep going for another week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not just even a day. It's just like, all right, yeah, all right, this is great. This is what I needed. And then boom, you get all this inspiration. So yeah, you're right. And back to dad life, your kids need that too. Your kids need to hear, I love you. You good job. I'm so proud of you. In those one-on-one moments that you have with them, always take advantage of those little moments to tell them these words with a hug, and don't ever miss those because you spend so much time trying to clean up after them, be patient and not frustrated, and trying to reframe everything that they're doing that's frustrating you and turn it into a positive, and find time to disconnect and play. So whether it may be discipline or telling, don't do that. Yeah, no, clean up. Yeah, all right, everybody clean up after yourself. Put those toys back away. All right, go in there, put on your pajamas, brush your teeth. You're like always telling them stuff to do or not to do. And you gotta pepper in as many good jobs as you can. Every opportunity. Yeah. Oh, hey, good job, buddy. You did a good job. Even if it's just, hey, man, you put on your pajama pants. That was super fast, man. Good job. Just any little thing
Yeah.
that you can tell people good jobs. We all need it, man. The world's tough enough, and people have so much self-doubt and feel so much imposter syndrome. Even the most experienced people feel it, and especially your kids feel it. And you're their people, man. You're the people they care enough about. All these Jordan Peterson quotes keep rolling through my head that your kids want to have the best relationship with you that they can possibly have. So whenever you've got that frustrated reaction, the bad reaction, anything they're doing, you got to check yourself, man, and try to give them those as much positive speak as you can. And it's another reason to watch the near death experience videos, because what you commonly hear is when you cross over, everyone, their path to get there, it may be a little bit different. And the entities that they meet could be somebody that they know, or maybe they don't know, but everybody eventually winds up in a life review where, without any judgment at all, they're not judging. You're not saying, oh, you did a bad job or a good job. It's just for your own learning experience. They're going to let you relive every interaction that you ever had with another human being, and the good ones and the bad ones, right? And every emotion that someone else felt while you were interacting with them, even in this moment, you get to relive this moment through me. I'll get to see it through your eyes.
Wow.
And We get to replay everything because you got to remember, time doesn't exist in that world. So it can take unlimited amount of time to get through it. And you don't have to sleep. You just sit there and keep pulling out these moments out of the chest and watching them, the replay. And you get to feel. So every time you scream at your kids, you're going to have to sit there and experience it through their eyes. So just be careful. Just think about this life review that you're going to have in front of God and Jesus at some point in time, because you're going to have it. And so that in itself, that thought will give you pause and just make you think of the experience that you're giving other people as you walk through life, especially your kids.
Dude, I love that. I'm going to end it there because that is a really good perspective to have. You talked about the deathbed time machine. That's a good perspective to help you in the moment. But a life review, that you can just think of that right now and just think, if you could give yourself a life review right now, maybe, or just this past week, what story would that tell? And then see how it changes your behavior. We're going to make a lot of mistakes and everything like that. All right, before we end, I'll ask one more question. And for the Real Dad Life, the whole goal is just to help men become better fathers, husbands, and leaders through these conversations. So we did talk about some husband stuff, but we had a meetup for our community last week, and I'd asked, hey guys, like, when's the last time you took your wife on a date? So I'll ask you, when's the last time you took your wife on a date? I know today, as of recording, is a 9-year anniversary, so happy anniversary. But
Yeah,
when's the last time you went on a date with your wife? Just her?
Yeah, actually, this past Saturday, we went on a date. Yeah, so it's recent. We're going to go on another one. We're not celebrating tonight. We'd rather wait and go out to dinner tomorrow night, because Friday night. But yeah, we have droughts. We have marriage fatigue. It exists. So yeah, you got to keep dating your wife. It's not easy after 9 years. You have to be intentional about it. I'm lucky to have good parents that will offer to babysit. And it just happened to be my brother, his daughter had 1-year-old birthday. No, 2. But so they were coming up anyway and decided to stay with us. And they said before they even came up, they were like, yeah, and Saturday, we don't mind, because my parents, they're pretty observant. So they can see that we need some dating time. We don't get enough. I'm lucky to have good parents that know that's important and offer to babysit. So yeah, well, it was just recently, man.
That's awesome. I feel like that is in the 1%. If I asked 100 dudes, most probably would be like, I don't know. I don't remember. Because
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I said, guys, challenge before Friday. So actually, tomorrow's Friday as of the recording. I need to set up a date with my wife. I've failed on that since I put out the challenge, because I just remembered it today. And a few of the guys said they were going to. So I got to follow up with them, be an accountability buddy. That's super important. All right. So parting words for all the dads out there. Maybe we got some moms listening to anything that would be like a last minute share with them, or doubling down on anything you said, whether it's dad advice, stuff about marriage, just something funny, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. What do you want to leave the crowd with?
Just try to be a good example. Try to set a good example. That's all you can do. Take care of yourself, exercise, let your kids see that you care about yourself. Let your kids see that you're exercising. Make sure they know it's important. And your kids are watching that stuff. They'll remember. It'll become important to them too.
Wow.
Like, oh man, I need to. Now, don't quote me. You can look it up what that stat is, but don't quote me on that. But there is a stat like that where very few people ever sprint again. I got a treadmill here in the office. So I'll do that. I got a weighted vest. I got to go for runs.
Nice.
But sometimes I'll just sprint up the hill that's right by the house. Sometimes I'll be doing that. My wife and kids will pull up in the minivan, and the kids will see me out just running as hard as I can for no apparent reason down the road. The whole rest of the day, they just want to sprint everywhere they go because they saw their dad do it. They're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna sprint. I'm gonna exercise too. I'm gonna exercise. Do things to take care of yourself, and let your kids see you. Let your kids see you do that stuff, so that you can be a good example for them."
Love it. There we go. That's a wrap. How can people find you?
My handle is Blake Williams for you, the number 4 letter U. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook there. Find me on LinkedIn. I got the hyperdriverecruiting.com website now is up and running. I do, of course, offering recruiting services, but I also offer career coaching, resume reviews, LinkedIn profile reviews. I've done it for a million years for free and I've just started trying to maybe charge for that. And it's $250, right? But it's very comprehensive compared to what other similar services would offer. And I'm very generous with the time that I spend with people, and they get a lot of value from it. You get a personalized LinkedIn banner, and we revisit everything. It's comprehensive. For paying customers, I'm very generous with that. And LinkedIn, and then the Imperial Security Bureau podcast, we interview leaders in cybersecurity. We talk about AI. We talk about recruiting. We're on episode 14, I think. Tomorrow, we're filming it tomorrow afternoon. And yeah, check me out there, man.
Awesome. I'll drop all that in the show notes so everyone can find you. This is an awesome conversation, dude. I'm glad that we got a chance to actually have a legitimate conversation about the dad life stuff. Tons of nuggets. And I'll catch you around LinkedIn, dude.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yep. Yo, what's up, dads? Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Real Dad Life podcast. Be sure to check out Blake Williams. All the links are in the show notes. And if you want to learn more about the Real Dad Life community, check me out, Angelo Melchiorre, on LinkedIn. We're a free community of dads. We're out there to become the best versions of ourselves, just being a little bit better than we were the day before. And if you want to help the show be seen and heard by more dads and parents, be sure to drop it a like and give it a 5-star review if you think it deserves it. If it doesn't, just listen to the next episode and hopefully we earn it then. Have a good one.